interesting story. They went into the tents of the Muslims and found these bags of beans, coffee beans, and they realized this was how the Muslims could fight day and night, this new drink, and shortly thereafter opened the first Vienna coffee house, and coffee spread across Europe. In 1789, America had now been born. America spent 20% of our national budget to ransom our soldiers and sailors that had been captured and put in the dungeons of Algiers and Tunis and Tripoli. And Thomas Jefferson was ambassador to France, and he asked the ambassador from Tripoli why they were jumping on ships with daggers clenched in their teeth. And he said, "It is written in the laws of the prophet that all who should not acknowledge Islam's authority were sinners, and it was their right duty to take them captive." Anyway, when Jefferson became the third president, he got fed up, sent in our Marines, and they captured the Pasha at Tripoli, forced him to make peace, and so that's why the Marine song is from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. And the curve in the Marine sword comes from the scimitar swords that they confiscated. Anyway, John Quincy Adams in 1830 writes a story that as soon as they signed the treaty and left, a year later they started the war again. And when they were confronted, the Muslims produced that treaty that our negotiators signed in Arabic. And John Adams says, our negotiators, unacquainted with the language of the Quran, signed the treaty in both languages, not imagining there was any difference between them. But when the Muslims produced the treaty, it said that we had surrendered to them. So John Quincy Adams says, you can't trust the Muslims when it comes to treaties. Anyway, in the late 1800s, the Ottoman Empire got behind the military curve, and Greece broke away, and Romania broke away, and parts of Bulgaria, and parts of Hungary and Poland broke away, and there was this little country called Armenia. Armenia was between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. They were all Christian. It was actually the first country to officially declare itself Christian. And these Armenians wanted to break away, and between 1915 and 1922, the Muslims killed 1.5 million Armenian Christians. Marched them into the desert until they died. State Representative Sally Kern was with me last week at Phyllis Schlafly's thing, and there's a Missouri State Representative named Cynthia Davis, and her grandfather was an Armenian. He escaped by being a 6-year-old boy, and he lied under the dead bodies in the desert for 3 days, and then finally went and escaped, and some Muslim family gave him a meal. The next thing you know, there's a rope tied around his foot, and they made a slave out of him. For 10 years he was a slave. Finally he was putting grain onto a ship, and there's an empty spot in a bag, and he climbs in it, and the ship takes off, and he gets off in France and carries the bag off. But they butchered. There was a Christian church in Smyrna from the Apostle John's time up until 1922. And remember the Tiananmen Square massacre, all these little freedom demonstrators in China, and as soon as America said, we're not going to intervene, they went in there and killed them all. Well, Woodrow Wilson's last effort of his life was to try to get America to adopt Armenia as a protectorate like Puerto Rico. And he went to the Republican-controlled Senate, and they said they did not want to get involved in some civil war in a Muslim country on the other side of the world. And when word reached over there that America would not come to the aid, the Muslims went in there to the city of Smyrna and drugged the Byzantine bishop out of his church, dismembered him in the street. They killed men, women, and children. Blood ran down the street, made the port waters red. There were American ships in the harbor. They could hear the screams. They could see the people running out and drowning because they didn't want to get cut up. But they had no orders to intervene. And then they took what Christians were left and sent them over to Greece. They left 100,000 Christians in Constantinople, but in 1955 they had a pogrom. They went in there and smashed all the windows of the Greek Christians, drugged the Byzantine priests out of their bed, ripped out their beards, and circumcised them in the street. Anyway, the Christians fled. Now today there's just a handful. There's a couple thousand Christians left over there. But you know how America was going to adopt Armenia as a protectorate? France adopted Lebanon and Syria as a protectorate. Britain adopted Palestine and Iraq as a protectorate, and out of that was birthed Israel, thank God. But we see that France gave Lebanon its independence in 1943. Lebanon was an 80% Christian country, Maronite Christian, Greek Orthodox, Greek Catholic. They set up a democracy. Then they went through a process called Islamification. So many Muslims moved in and had so many children because they could have 4 wives that they had more numbers, and they took over the democratic form of government, and then they passed laws against the Christians. And between 1970 and 1990 they killed over 100,000 Lebanese Christians over there. Anyway, I just thought I'd come and encourage you tonight.
That's real funny. Bill has a good sense of humor there. That video, he ended up speaking for about 10 minutes somewhere else now. I found the other video where he speaks what he says exactly right after that. And he basically says, we need to do something. And the last part of this class, we're going to talk about what we can do about Islam. I'm going to introduce y'all to a site called whatyoucandoaboutislam.com. It's a site that's run by a super group called citizenwarrior.com. The guy there is an atheist. He's a non-Christian. He's written articles like Why I'm Concerned About Islam and Not Concerned About Christianity. And Citizen Warrior, he is like the psychologist of the counter-jihad movement. He teaches you how to talk to non-Muslims about Islam and to overcome some of the common objectives, like is it racism to talk about Islam? Is it bigotry to talk about Islam? How can you talk with someone who doesn't want to hear about the dangers of Islam? But right now, I'm going to pull up this radio show where I appeared on the radio, and I'm going to stop it and skip through the commercial type things that he did so we can just hear the text. And in that I give my testimony. Today is 9/9, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's exactly 2 years ago today that I started studying Islam. And I've studying world religions, Christian cults all my life. Islam is the most scariest, but then yet interesting thing I've ever studied. And so here's some from my appearance on the Real Talk Radio program.
Jewish people. You know them at work? I know. So that they see odds 3 times shipwreck over.
We have on the line a brother that I met several months back, and I seen the particular work that he was doing on the internet, dealing with false religions, dealing with word of faith, just dealing with the Muslim faith, and I said to myself, whoa, this guy has something. There's a lot of people out on the internet that have a lot to say, but very few that I see are saying the right things. And this gentleman is saying the right things. The gentleman I'm talking about is Damon Whitsell, and he is our special guest tonight. He is going to help us kick off this month of false doctrines, cults, and world religions with one of the most notorious world religions. And what are we talking about? We are talking about the religion of Islam. And Damon, are you there, my brother?
Yes, sir, Jim. Can you now hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
All right, good deal. Y'all was cutting out a little bit while y'all was playing the thing on me. If y'all get to where y'all can't hear me, just let me know, and I'll hang up real quick and call back.
Okay. You know, we were talking about that. We were saying that since Blog Talk Radio is taking our money, they're going to have to step their game up on the technology, because we've been having some problems lately, and it's really annoying.
Well, that's okay. I have a couple of Blog Talk Radio channels, and I know how it is.
Yeah, so you know exactly what we're talking about then.
Yes, sir, but I don't pay them yet. Neither one of my 2 shows have gotten that popular, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
but I'm fixing to start one called The Religion of Conquest Radio here on Blog Talk Radio, though, and I have probably Eric Allen Bell. He's liberal. That used to be against evangelical Christianity. He thought that Christianity was more of a problem with Islam, and so he went to Murfreesboro, Tennessee to do a documentary called Not Welcome. And then he had a conversation with a cab driver. He asked the cab driver if the Arab Spring thing going on in Egypt was a good thing. And the cab driver told him, no, my family are Christian, and back home, if the Muslim Brotherhood takes over, they'll be killed or run out. Yes. And so he is now counter-jihadist, and he's gone from a liberal to more conservative. He used to be in the New Age, and I don't know what his current religious beliefs are. But anyway, I'm planning on having him on, and then a guy named Dave Robinson from the Crescent of the Cross and Jihad or Jihad1.com. And then a guy that's been studying Islam for about 30 years named Brett Jasper that I met on Facebook, that he served in the military and was an interpreter, and he has seen and studied and read many of the documents that I haven't.
Awesome, awesome. Now, David, listen, your website called the Word of Faith at infoblog.com. That's actually where I found you at. Tell me a little bit about that blog.
Well, actually, I'm not ex-Word of Faith. The Word of Faith movement and following Joel Osteen killed a friend of mine. So what we have a group blog with like 9 group blog co-authors, and probably 6 of them are ex-Word of Faith. And we have the most extensive ex-Word of Faith testimony list with about 45 ex-Word of Faith testimonies, a resource link to probably about 50 or 60 ex-Word of Faith websites.
Wow.
And we research and blog on that. The blog's been pretty inactive since I started studying Islam, but if you want to go there and read some of the testimonies, the testimony page has been the most popular and the most helpful to people, because people that are struggling in the Word of Faith movement, because the Word of Faith movement and the prosperity gospel is like a double bind. It's like an occult mind control thing. They tell you you're supposed to have this, you're supposed to have this unblessed life. Yeah.
And if you don't, there's a problem with you. You got sin in your life, or some curses on you or something.